Hello to my fellow mortgage broker community. My name is Mark Summers and I'm the president of AIME. And I want to welcome everyone to our weekly sales meeting. Okay, the topic I'd like to discuss this week is process. What is your process? Now, when you're thinking about this, I want you to think bigger than you take an application, you pull credit, you decide what lender it's going to go to, and then give it to your processor, and then I'll see you at the closing table. I want you to think bigger than this. Us as originators, we control every step of this loan. So why not use each one of these steps to your advantage to make and show the consumers that we are the experts in what we do. Perfect example may be, okay, an appraisal comes in, and instead of just thinking, okay, the appraisal is emailed to the client, we're good to go. What's your process or procedure when that appraisal comes in? Are you making sure the client received it? Do you want to go over it with them? There's many different ways to do this, and that's a beautiful thing about being in this independent community, is there's 1,000 right ways to do this. But what I want you to do is pick your process and your procedures that are going to separate you. Okay, I really think this is important. Now, you may sit here and think, Mark, why are you preaching this so hard? Well, I'm a big process guy, first off. And second off, there's two main reasons. One is you're preventing disasters going down the line. Okay, now, if you have your proper process and procedures in place, you're going to cut off a lot of these headaches that sometimes we come across. And it's just going to make it a better experience for the consumer. Number two is this, is we are in a low rate environment right now. Our phones are ringing off the hooks. We're writing more deals than we ever have before. Set yourself up for long-term financial success, okay? And what I mean by that is you have to be more detail-oriented. You have to have that same process and procedure in place for every single client, okay? And I really think that you'll see the benefit with it. So to recap, number one is you're preventing disasters and headaches down the line. And number two, you're setting your future up. You're setting your book of business up. Now, just to give you a tip, because as I've said before, I am still originating loans to this day as we speak. And a tip that I want to give to you that I implemented at the beginning of the year, and it's been great for me. It's been tedious. It's been a lot of training on my end for myself, which is this, is every contact that I have with the client, anyone involved with it, whether it's the title company, the realtor, and so on and so forth, I log it. We all know we need a CRM. Use your CRM. And what I do is I'm a big proponent in logging all my conversations that I have, because we have a lot of clients right now with this low rate environment. So keep in line with what you have. Know every conversation that you had so you can always go back and revisit it. And it's just going to help you in the long run. All right. So that would be my tip for you. It's worked for me. And as I've said before, hey, it may not be for you, but that's the beautiful thing about being an independent originator or in this broker community, which is there's 1,000 right ways to do it. But what I'm preaching to you is have your own process or procedure in place to give yourself long-term success. Now, on a legislative update, the Senate is currently reviewing the HEROES Act. Now, my AIME team has dissected that draft, and you can get more updates on that if you visit us at aimegroup.com and go to our legislative updates page, and you'll have all the information there that you need. So what I'd like to do right now is turn it over to Rene Rodriguez. So Rene, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. So I want to talk to you about a concept and a conversation that, quite frankly, not enough of you are having and not enough salespeople are having. And it's a concept that we like to call slowing down for yellow lights. So let me ask you a question. You're driving along the street, going down on your merry way, and you see a yellow light. What do? Now, some of you are going to say, well, you slow down. Well, what's the reality? What do most of us do? Most of us speed through that yellow light in hopes that we get past the red light. So why do we do that? We do that because we feel or we believe that red lights are failure. Now, in a normal day operation, if we want to get past a red light or a yellow light, that might work. But it is absolutely dangerous to do in a sales profession or with relationships. So let me break that down for you. What we need to do, first of all, is redefine what failure is. Failure isn't getting a red light. And if we understand that the red light isn't failure, so what is failure? Failure is making a red light needlessly more expensive. And I want to illustrate that through the story. Now, as some of you know, I used to actually own a mortgage brokerage shop long time ago. And we put together an amazing presentation. I'm talking about this presentation. If you were listening to it, you were doing business with us. It was that good. And so one of my loan officers said, Rene, hey, can you come and do a presentation for one of my referral partners? He's a huge insurance agent, 17,000 person database. I've been working this thing for 10 months. And I was like, awesome, great way to train my LO, great way to land a big referral partner. We invited him in and we began. And I'm starting this presentation. We're going through the conversation and immediately eating out of my hands. Everything's going great. He's leaned in. My loan officer is looking at me, smiling. And we're just going through the process that we knew was very predictable. And about 10 minutes in, he stops. He's so excited. He says, wow, this is amazing. I absolutely love working with loan officers. Please keep going. And my loan officer looks at me and he's like, see, he loves working with loan officers. And immediately I begin to slow down. Now, did you pick up what or why I began to slow down? And so if you look at what happened, he's excited, we're excited, and in a typical process, we would take that excitement and just keep moving, keep the momentum going. Don't ever stop that momentum. But in this understanding of what truly is success and what truly is failure, and I start seeing a yellow light, a warning signal, that's the time that I have to begin to slow down. And so now, when he said loan officers, plural, obviously what that meant to me was that there's more of us at the table here. And if he has that kind of experience, I'm in sales, we're in sales, and we're in the business of getting all the business. And so I began the process of slowing down. So now, to be able to do this, I'm going to walk you through what I did, and then we're going to break it down. So I looked at him, and I stopped, and I affirmed what he said. I said, that's great, because an understanding in this concept, I want to affirm the truth, and I want to get the truth. I don't want to drive my agenda. And this kind of goes opposite of what a lot of us learn in sales. So I stopped the process. I looked at him, I said, John, thank you. That's great to hear. And you said you like to work with loan officers. About how many do you work with? So that's the first step, is you have to have the courage to point out something. You have to be able to do that. And so he looks at me and he goes, oh, probably about 15, 16 of them. Now, I've affirmed that this is an issue. 15 or 16 loan officers is not something I want to be playing with. I don't want to be one of 16. We want to be the lender of choice. And so now I begin the process. Now, it is a little bit dramatic, but it's done that way on purpose. The moment he said, oh, about 15 or 16, I stopped, took a deep breath, looked at my book, and we had a prospectus at the time, and I shut the book gently. Now, he found value in the book. I took the book away, and the book held our presentation. And the sigh was to stop the pattern, to show that something was going on. And so took a deep breath, I stopped, and I slid it about 2 inches away from me. I said, John, I've got a question for you. And he said, sure. And I said, well, and now getting people's attention is critical here. I said, John, we've been working on this value proposition for a couple years now for the sole purpose of earning 100% of your business and people like you. If you were to see everything that you need from a loan officer relationship and a lender relationship, would there be anything preventing you from giving us all your business? And then I was quiet, shut my mouth. Loan officer was tense. I mean, he was like, well, Rene, what are you doing? And he didn't even fully understand. What I was doing was asking the real question. Imagine that. If I show him everything that he wants to see and he still doesn't do business, I kind of want to know that now, right? And so let's get real, or let's just not play. And so I ask the question, and he sits back in his chair, and he takes a big sigh, almost like he'd been busted. And he said, well, yeah, there is. And I looked at him and said, first of all, I said, John, first of all, thank you for being honest. See, what people don't understand in this process is that we all want an outcome. We want a green light. I want the truth. That is the most important thing in this. And I said, John, I said, first of all, thank you for being honest. I wanted to affirm the truth. And I said, would you mind sharing? He said, well, yeah. He goes, my brother's a loan officer. And I said, and I smiled and I said, yeah, I guess if you gave us your business, that'd make Christmas a little bit awkward, wouldn't it? He said, yeah, it probably would. And so now my loan officer went from super excited to, what's going on? And see, and I said, John, I said, well, I think you and I both agree that our conversation's probably over now, because we're in the business of doing business with people that can reciprocate with us. And good news is there's a lot of people for us to choose from, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like you're available to play. And I said, but let me ask you one last question. And so now here's what I want you to understand. When I find myself at a red light, I think about it as training and as an opportunity to put more weight on the bar. If you're at the gym, you want to get stronger, you put more weight on the bar. And if somebody's giving me a red light, I want to try new scripting. I want to try opportunities and maybe new verbiage and things that might be able to maneuver and see if I can spark some interest. And I asked one of my all-time favorite questions. I said, John, I know it's hard. I said, but what would you need to see from us to at least make it a tough choice? And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, wow, that's an incredible question. I'm probably going to have to steal that question. And I said, please, by all means, but I'm dead serious. What would you need to see from us to at least make it a tough choice? Because we really like what you're doing. And he looked at me and he said, you know, Rene, there probably isn't anything you can do. My brother and I are pretty close. And I said, John, totally fair. I appreciate it. And of course I asked, I said, so is John happy where he's working? And of course the opportunity might be a chance to recruit. Who knows, maybe he's not happy and you bring John over to your company and guess who comes with him? His brother. And so the point of that though is it's a real process of just getting real. This concept comes from a great book, one of the most influential books in my life called Let's Get Real or Let's Not Play from Mahan Khalsa. I've adopted it to having these kinds of conversations with referral partners. And of course my loan officer was distraught at the time. And here's the lesson though, is that slowing down for yellow lights and having the courage to say it and then putting it into the prospect's lap, having them turn it red or green. See, we always try to turn it red or green. But in these scenarios, if there's something else going on, we have to allow the client to turn that red or green with the truth. And so now they're going to be ultimately the one that makes the choice. And so here's the value though. Remember, red lights are not failure. Red lights failure is making red lights needlessly more expensive. So what is expensive? It took him 10 months, my loan officer, 10 months to figure that out. It took me 10 minutes. So what's more expensive? Running through that yellow light, ignoring all the signals, or having the courage to step up and ask that difficult question to be able to have the real conversation. And so what I want you to think about here for a minute is the process. One, I had to have the courage to say it. And sometimes being a little dramatic because you want to be able to put a stop in the process. The momentum is going in one direction and the prospect's excited but really has no intention of doing business with you. They're getting tons of value from you but really aren't in the game of giving you any value in return. You have to be able to stop that. And that comes from a mindset of understanding that this is an equal relationship. I see far too often loan officers, salespeople putting their prospects on this pedestal. But we forget this is a value exchange. You have a value to offer, they have a value, and it should be a value exchange. That's why they call it a value proposition. I'm proposing this value, but in exchange for that value. If you're selling a product or service, I'm proposing this vehicle in exchange for your money. When I sold cookware, it was this big set of cookware in exchange for your money. And I'm proposing this level of service for an exchange for your leads. There's all sorts of things to build trust in that process. So we need to understand that this is an equal relationship. If you don't understand that and you feel like they have something that you don't, then this conversation is going to be hard for you. So you've got to begin internally to make sure that you feel that this is an equal playing field and make sure that you feel like you have a value proposition that is worthy of a conversation like this. Otherwise, you're just going to be chasing people and being that second, third, getting people scraps if anything is left over for you at the time. God forbid you leave a good sales professional anywhere near one of your prospects, you're done. So make sure you have the courage to say it. State the concern. I'm concerned. Hey, if you, like what I did, I stated the concern. If you were to see everything that you wanted to see from a lender relationship, would there be anything preventing you from doing business with us today? That's my concern. And now, all of a sudden, the client can turn it red or green and affirm that truth. And then if you get that red light, use it as practice time to ask some really, really, really powerful questions. So I want to give you two examples of how that might work. So let's pretend that one, and this is a real example. I had one loan officer came to me and he said, I got 17 leads from this real estate agent and it's amazing, but none of them have closed. I said, okay, so you get 17 leads and none of them have closed. So do you think that's a warning sign? Absolutely, it's a warning sign. Big yellow light. So what have you done? You're just so excited by the leads because leads equal dopamine. Right? We know that getting a lead is awesome because it might turn into something. And so we don't question that. But you got 17 leads. This is the conversation I would have. So I'd call Billy. Let's call him Billy. Billy, I said, first of all, I want to thank you for all the leads and everything you've entrusted us with. And we really appreciate the trust you've given us. Now, I got a question. Have you enjoyed our relationship and the referrals that I've given you? And Billy's going to say, yeah, absolutely. I said, so I'm looking at my records here, and you've given us 17 leads to date, and I'm concerned. Pause. Let that concern just sit there. Don't say, and I'm concerned because of it. Don't say that. And I'm concerned. Now, I've affirmed it with really positive things, but I'm going to leave it with, and I'm concerned. And he's like, well, I'm sorry, Rene, what's the issue? I said, well, you've given us 17 leads so far. We've put time, energy, effort, resources behind trying to convert those leads and do needs analysis and taking applications and pulling credit, but not a single one has closed. And you got to be able to ask that question. Billy, are we getting your best leads? And then to be quiet and silent, because I have to put it in their lap with the real question. Because what if Billy's giving you the scrap leads because he's got his brother in the business, and his brother gets all the best leads, and his brother goes, no, I don't want those leads because of X, Y, and Z. Give them over there because they're giving you referrals, and they're handing them off without any expectation of quality. And so at that point, at least when we had this conversation, Billy was like, oh my God, 17 leads and none have closed? I said, well, we do have a couple of the people that we work with, but you know what? Can we sit down and go through those? Because maybe there's some changes we can make on our end to get you some more of a quality leads. And to be quite frank with Rene, we haven't really paid attention, so I really appreciate you bringing this to our attention. Think about the value of that. You did it in a respectful manner. You got real. Now imagine if he goes, yeah, you know what, you're kind of our number 3, so we're giving you all these leads, and but they're really things that we're just kind of hoping that they stick. You're kind of our last resort. Wouldn't you want to know that after spending 17? And multiply that by how many man hours and woman hours and people that are there trying to work that lead and process that and coffees and everything. All of that is expensive. Remember, red lights are not failure. Failure is making red lights needlessly more expensive because you didn't have the courage to ask the question. So I want to give you another example. This is a referral partner that you have. You've given a lot of leads, but not a single one has come back in return. Call up Sally, realtor, and say, Sally, hope you're doing well. I have a question for you. First of all, have you enjoyed working with us so far in our relationship? Because I truly have. And she's going to say, yeah, absolutely. I said, well, Sally, I got to say, I'm a little confused because you've given all of these referrals, right? And Sally, you've done great with them, but I'm a little confused. And Sally, of course, if you do that right, it's going to stop her in her tracks. She may be multitasking, and if you say, Sally, I'm a little confused, or I'm a little concerned, or Sally, I got a challenge. I got to admit, I'm a little challenged here. However you want to say it, but you got to make it so it's a stop. You got to stop them in their tracks. And she's going to listen to you or look at you if you're in person and say, what's the concern? I said, well, I'm looking at this, and we've given you 7 leads and referrals right now, 6 of which have closed. And we have yet to see one lead come our way. Have I done something wrong? And you become silent. That is such a powerful question to be able to ask when you can be honest that way. Because what if you did something wrong? What if something was the issue? But it also shines a light on something that maybe Sally doesn't want to look at. And so when you're able to ask the question, we've given you 7 or 15 or however many leads, and if you can say X amount of close, which is turned into X amount of commissions your way, yet we have yet to see a single referral come in our direction. Have we done something wrong? Think about that. You're getting real. And you only want to play with people that are willing to get real with you because your time is valuable. Your time is precious. Your energy, everything that you've done carries a value. And if people aren't willing to exchange that with you, why are you playing? And so what I urge you guys to do, I'm going to give you a tool. And this is what I want you to take away from this. I want you to today write down every single referral source that you have, every real estate agent, everybody. And if you don't know that list, then you've got other problems. You got to figure out how to track that stuff because it's critical. But write down that list. Print off that list if you have it in your CRM. Do something and grab a yellow highlighter. And you just ask yourself that honest question, is this a fair relationship? Is there anything going on in this relationship that doesn't seem right? And if it's not, put the yellow highlighter there. And once you're done with that list, you start booking appointments with those people to have the Let's Get Real or let's not play conversation, where you have the courage to say it. Take the deep sigh, state the concern, and put it in their lap and allow them to turn it red or green. Affirm the truth in the process. Be respectful. Know your numbers. Know where your leads are coming from. All of those things are critical in today's environment. And if you're thinking that you're too busy to do this because of the amount of loans coming in, you're not thinking big enough. Then you need to have the support to be able to do this and to think beyond this interest rate environment. So again, as I ask every week, how productive were you this week? What number are you going to put in your box? Is it an excuse? Is it a story? Or do you feel pretty proud of what's going on? Please share below what your success has been looking like. And again, thanks again for tuning in every single week, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Back to you, Philly.
Thanks so much, Rene. And you are completely right. You and Mark both. Knowing your process is such a huge part of being able to actually build on your business. It's so critical to know what your process is so that you know how to improve it. I think so many times people get lost in working on their business or in their business, but they're not really sure how to balance both. So know your process, then we can build on it. One of the best ways to build on it and create more efficiency is having a CRM partner that is integrated with everything. So this week's vendor spotlight, LionDesk. If you haven't checked them out yet, you definitely need to give them a try. They've been a partner of ours since earlier this year. Sometime in Q2, we launched that relationship. If you know them as a realtor solution, you need to look at them again. They've recently launched a ton of mortgage-specific content, pipeline management, campaigns. They're absolutely incredible. Along with that, they are one of the first partners that we've had that is actively integrating with everyone. So if you use another tool in the Brokers Are Better network, chances are LionDesk integrates with them, or they will in the very near future. If you work with Sam Parker, with My Credit Guy, and you want your consumers going into a nurture campaign while they're working on credit repair so they can come back to you, LionDesk can do it. If you're working with lead pops and you've got leads coming in and you want them going into campaigns based on the lead type, LionDesk has you covered. When your loans close, if you want them to go directly into a HomeBot campaign, you're good to go. So if you haven't given LionDesk a chance, definitely check them out. For the price point, there is literally no other CRM on the market. And as we said, one of the best ways to be able to build upon your process, but you have to know what that process is first. Speaking of two women that absolutely know their processes and know exactly what they're going to do on a day-to-day basis, Tori Doucette and Skylar Welch, they are on our Broker to Broker podcast this week. We're still doing best of the best. This is our top 3, I think our 3rd most downloaded podcast of all time. These women are incredible. They had a chance to come into our office before everything closed down. I had a chance to meet with them, go to dinner. Honestly, I was so impressed. I think our entire team at AIME here was. 2 very different approaches, but both of them absolutely know exactly what their process is going to be from a day-to-day basis. Skylar has literally more whiteboards than any person I've ever seen in my entire life, with her entire pipeline mapped out for everything that's supposed to close within the month. She is going to close somewhere between 40 and 50 loans this month. So you talk about a top producer who knows exactly what they're doing. Skylar is your girl. Tori is a networking machine. So if you need some advice, you want some recommendations on how to build processes out, whether it's building your network and your relationships, how you're managing day-to-day communication responsibilities, Skylar and Tori have you covered. Next thing, we want to give a big congratulations to Lead Pops. So many of y'all know them and love them. They are the very first BAB network partner that we've had that has hit 500 new clients, over 500 new clients now since the beginning of the year. We launched that relationship. They were one of the very first ones who helped actually create the Brokers Are Better network and the whole concept behind it. They now have 500 of y'all that have decided to recreate your websites, move over, generate lead funnels, run campaigns via Google and Facebook. So if you haven't looked at Lead Pops, there are over 500 people in this group that can absolutely tell you why. That doesn't even include all the people that were telling us about Lead Pops before they became a partner. So there are an enormous number of brokers out there that absolutely love Lead Pops and everything that they stand for. We're huge fans of them. If you don't know them, give Andrew Pollock a shout. You can always email us at babnetwork, B-A-B network @aimegroup.com. We are happy to connect you with any of the vendors in our Brokers Are Better network at any time. And if you want to check them out on our website, you can find them under the BAB Network tab at aimgroup.com, where there's plenty of information, including all that you need to know about Line Desk and Lead Pops. Last thing, we have a couple of big webinars coming up. So if you want to learn how to set up your Facebook page, we've got 2 of the team members from AIME, Jen and Corey, that are going to be giving all of the recommendations that you need. Both of these women are very involved with all of the pages, AIME social media pages, all of our individual pages that are out there on Facebook, all of our profiles on LinkedIn. This week, they're going to be focusing on teaching you how to set up your Facebook page, which is a big deal. It connects to all of your reviews, so it's definitely something that you need to have if you don't have that set up already. You can check that out this Thursday, tomorrow. Last thing, AIME Fuse Virtual. We've been getting a ton of questions about Fuse over the last couple of weeks. Fuse is absolutely still on. It is definitely happening. We have 2 different planned events right now. We have a hybrid event that will allow for people to come to Las Vegas along with a virtual experience. If we need to go fully virtual, we are absolutely prepared for that. But I want to highlight the virtual side of things today. I think a lot of people have attended events over the last couple of months that are, quite frankly, a little dull. They tend to come across like it's just a Zoom meeting in a standard conversation that you could have with anybody at any time. Our virtual experience is very different from that. We've invested a ton of time and energy into building out a platform that is truly an experience. There's virtual exhibit booths. You'll be able to learn about all of our partners, both lender and vendor. They'll have all kinds of information that you can view, download. You can schedule meetings with whomever you would like. You can have one-on-one sessions. There's individual, like small group sessions that each of our partners will be able to host. Along with that, we'll be streaming all of the content from multiple cameras. So it's not gonna just be a single flat camera. We're giving you every angle, just like you were there live and in person. And we're probably even gonna have a couple of streams going on at the same time so that you're able to actually pick and choose which content you want to be viewing and at what time. So definitely check out the virtual platform if you haven't had a chance to yet. If you're unsure about whether you're comfortable traveling to Las Vegas or not, the virtual experience is going to be incredible. All live tickets also include a ticket for the virtual platform, so you do not need to buy both. If you have any questions about Fuse, you can always email us, info@aimgroup.com, or drop a question in the comments, or just in the Brokers Are Better Facebook group. Hope everybody has a fantastic week. Let's get out there and crush it.